What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Football Corner Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Queen. And of course, before we get started, I would like for all my viewers out there on YouTube to please click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date to all the new episodes that drop on the YouTube channel. And also, if you listen to me on a podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Spotify, please subscribe to the podcast. And as always, let's cue it up. Alrighty, guys. So, Week 14 has come and gone, and let's start with the NFL recap. Week 14 had a lot of events, and just coming close to the end of the season, a lot of teams have shored up playoff spots, like the Eagles and the Chiefs. Both have clinched a playoff berth, and you got teams like the Lions, the Titans, even the Chargers, who are trying to get that wild card seeding. Some things that stood out to me throughout the course of the Sunday was Joe Burrow finally got over the hump, people. Joe Burrow has finally beat the Browns as a starting quarterback of the Bengals. It took a while. I believe he was 0-5, 0-4 against the Browns before going into that game. And he was lucky he got to play Deshaun Watson, who's still trying to get acclimated to that offense and get it acclimated to just playing football in general. But it was exciting. Joe Mixon, his first game back, he had 96 yards rushing, 6.9 yards a carry. He looked good. He looks fresh. Because he's been out for a couple of games with being in concussion protocol. He was not clear to play. Joe Burrow threw 2 touchdowns, had over 200 passing yards. Still is a caliber, and is still in the race for MVP, in my opinion. I think he's one of 4 people who will be in the MVP race. That includes Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, and I just said Joe Burrow. Those guys are in the MVP race. And all you Josh Allen fans, still come at me. Okay? I understand Josh Allen is a great talent, but he has not played as on an MVP caliber level. You could say, well, he has the best record in the AFC. Having the best record does not always amount to being the best player on your team or being the best player in your conference or in the league. It's easy for you to be able to say that. But the Bills are 10-3, and so are the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 10-3. They clinched up the division with the win over the Broncos. So let's go to talk about the Chiefs and Broncos matchup. Russell Wilson had his best game as a Bronco. They were this close. The score was 34-28. They were 1 touchdown away from winning the game. And late in the third quarter. Well, it was late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. Russell Wilson had a big 15-plus yard run into the red zone, and he hit his head against the not turf, the grass. He hit his head against the grass. Looked pretty scary watching it live on television. He was able to get up. Came up a little wobbly, though, but he was able to get up. He would not return back to the game. Brett Rippon, the backup quarterback, would finish the game for them. He would throw 1 passing touchdown and an interception. But Russell Wilson, I thought, played very well, had 57 yards rushing on the ground, had close to 300 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy had a day. He had 3 receiving touchdowns on 8 catches. It was amazing to watch. Pat Mahomes, He had an up and down day. Pat Mahomes, had his 300 passing yards, but having 3 passing TDs, he also had 3 interceptions, which you won the game, but there was some costly, unexcusable turnovers by Pat Mahomes, uncharacteristic. He had some flashy plays. He did this little flip pass to Jerick McKinnon that went for over 50 yards for a receiving touchdown. Jerick McKinnon had over 100 yards receiving at the running back position, which is insane to talk about because he is a running back. Running backs are not meant to have over 100 yards. Jerick McKinnon had over 100 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns on the day. It was good to watch. It was exciting on Sunday. Brady, we're getting to him. how he failed to beat a backup quarterback, or shall I say Mr. Irrelevant, and Brock Purdy. But yeah, week 13 was exciting, guys. My Jaguars won. I'm going to talk about them a little later in the next segment. Beat the Titans 36-22. Statement win. If I want my Jags to get to the playoffs, we had to win that game, or we had no chance of winning the division. Now we got the Cowboys next. And we saw how close of a game it was for the Cowboys to beat the Texans. They barely beat them. I believe the score was 27-23. Cowboys went on a 98-yard game-winning drive to win the game. It was impressive, but you should have been down to the Texans in the first place. Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions. The Texans couldn't capitalize in the red zone to put them up 2 scores, sadly. Eagles had a dominating win over the Giants, as we all expected. I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP favorite right now. It's funny. At my job, I actually talked about Jalen Hurts prior to the season being my dark horse MVP. We didn't know what to expect with Jalen Hurts, but it seemed like that is actually going to become a reality. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have 12 wins, only 1 loss on the season. Jalen Hurts threw for 2 passing touchdowns in the victory over the Giants, 48-22. Yes, the Eagles beat the Giants, 48-22. The Eagles may be the best team in the NFL. So I want to start this segment. Usually it's called best and worst performances. But in this case, I'm going to start off with best performances, because instead of picking one guy who had the best performance in Week 14, I'm going to pick 3 different guys that I thought were outstanding on Sunday. First guy, I'm having to go to my quarterback, Mr. Trevor Lawnrence. Trevor Lawnrence threw for 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown, over 70% completion percentage, over 100 passer rating, and put up 36 points against a really good defense in the Tennessee Titans. He was unfazed. He made Evan Ingram have a career day. He had a $152, 2 receiving touchdowns, career high for the former first-round pick out of Ole Miss. This guy, Trevor Lawnrence, could not be stopped. And in the past 5 games, Trevor Lawnrence has had 10 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I know he doesn't get talked about as much as people want him to talk about, but Trevor Lawnrence, and me being a Jaguars fan, is finally living up to his draft, where he got drafted, and that's being first overall in the 2021 NFL draft. And I loved it. It was against the Titans. See, a little history lesson. The Jaguars have not beat the Titans in Nashville since 2013. Okay? Since 2013. And I believe the quarterback back then was Blaine Gabbert. Okay? Blaine Gabbert was a bust, so to speak. Yeah, he wasn't a good quarterback. And I can't stand the Titans. So it was even more exciting that we was able to beat them, because the Titans are dirty. They're cocky. They talk a lot of trash. Even when we decided to nail the game, nail the clock out. We decided to put, take a knee. Trevor Lawnrence did, because the game's over. We're up by 2 touchdowns. They started getting a little chippy. Started pushing our offensive linemen out of frustration because they lost. And they have lost 3 games in a row. It's not my fault. Don't blame us. You should have came to play. You saw what happened last week when Jacksonville went to Detroit. You saw what happened. We got the doors blown off of us. Now you did too. Jacksonville Jaguars go on and win 36-22, in big part because of that guy, Trevor Lawnrence, or as I like to call him, Sunshine. Now the second player I want to talk about is the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, and is the front runner of the MVP race right now, and that's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts threw for over 200 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown, had 77 yards on the ground, over 100 passer rating also, in a 48-22 win over the Giants. And he Guys, he's the first team. He's the first. The Eagles are the first team to reach 12 wins, and it's mainly because of that guy. What he could do in the passing game, what he could do in the running game, he is dynamic. He didn't get the Heisman when he was in college, when he was playing at Oklahoma or Alabama. But if he keeps playing like this for the rest of the season, he might actually get an MVP trophy on the shelf. But he wants a Super Bowl trophy on the shelf. But the Eagles dominated. It shows that the Giants, I know the Giants was a great team coming out, but they're slowly regressing. I mean, it's getting bad. I believe the Giants are 7-6-1, 7-5-1. It's a quarterback thing. When you have the right quarterback, you can get the job done. Okay. I've never been a big fan of Daniel Jones, and this is the reason why. When you need a quarterback to win you games in a shootout, Daniel Jones is not going to be the quarterback to do so. Now, the final person who had the best performance in Week 14 will have to go to Jared Goff, quarterback of the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff is playing phenomenal football. I don't think he gets credit because he's playing for the Detroit Lions. What he has done in the past 5 to 6 games with this Lions team, he deserves credit. Threw for 330 yards against the Vikings, the division-leading Vikings. I know a lot of people are not sold on the Vikings. At the time, people thought they were a false 10-2. Now they're a cool 10-3, with the Lions going up to 6-7, winning 5 of their last 6 games, and one game being lost by a game-winning field goal in Buffalo, against Buffalo. Not in Buffalo. There was that in Detroit, but against Buffalo. Jared Goff is playing good football. He deserves recognition. And if you are voting for the Pro Bowl, and the quarterbacks in the NFC, Jared Goff deserves a vote. Okay? Let me lay it out to you. The 3 best quarterbacks in the NFC goes as the following: Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts. Come at me. I'm not scared. Come on. I say nothing but facts. Those are the 3 best quarterbacks statistically. And if you just eye test who's playing the best football, I would have put Jimmy Garoppolo in there, but he has been injured, so doesn't get a vote. I would have put Dak Prescott in there, but he's been injured, majority of the season, so he don't get a vote. I like Kirk Cousins, but Jared Goff so far this season, I think, has outplayed Kirk Cousins, especially as of late. Let's go to the worst performance, and it goes to the old man down in Tampa Bay, and that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a chance to play the 49ers and their best defense, and the 49ers defense is really good. I would not be surprised if the 49ers went all the way to the championship game based off of how good their defense is playing this season. They're the number 1 defense in points, number 1 defense against the rush. They're top 5 in every other category on defense. It's not even close. And they're being led by Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa leads the league in sacks. But let's go back to what Tom Brady didn't do. Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions. He had a fluky touchdown pass. And that's the only score they had of the game. He only put up 7 points. And they're so lucky they're in a bad division in the NFC South, where Tom Brady wouldn't even be sniffing the playoffs this year. It wasn't for them having the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers in the division, which, by the way, those other teams are getting closer. But the Falcons are only 5-8. The Buccaneers have dropped to 6-7. They're only 1 game out of it. So don't make it seem like the Buccaneers are just going to walk away in this division. They're not. It's going to come down to the wire. And guess who the Bucs play in Week 18? Let me guess. Oh, wait. They played the Falcons. And the Falcons got a new quarterback. It came out that they're going to start their rookie, Desmond Ridder, out of Cincinnati. So we'll see how that goes. But back to Tom Brady. Tom Brady had 55 passing attempts. They didn't have a run game. Tom Brady looked he was overthrowing guys. He was not playing. He didn't play his best football. had a below a 70 passer rating. Tom Brady is going to get my worst performance in week 14. Let's go to the upset of the day. And now go to the Carolina Panthers with their victories over the Seattle Seahawks. And this team was very opportunistic. The Panthers, sorry teams don't make sense this season at all. Like, if you look at games that should not games that shouldn't have been won, they're being won. Like, I don't know if it's because the league teams are more spread out, they're more even, but none of this makes sense. I mean, the Panthers were arguably the worst team in the NFL. Now they're playing better football. Like, what is this? I don't understand it. The Panthers are 5-8, guys. They're 5-8. They're one game back behind the Buccaneers. Think about that. They're one game back behind the Buccaneers. And if they were to beat the Buccaneers again, they will be leading the division. It's incredible, like, how this team who fired their head coach, who traded their best player, who got rid of Baker Mayfield, who ended up having a great game in his first start or first, stint with the Rams against the Raiders, and that's another story for another day. But the Panthers beat the Seahawks 30-24. And it was with help of one of my votes for NFC Pro Bowl quarterback, Geno Smith. He had 3 passing touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions turned into points on the other end. Not because of the pick 6, but it gave them good field position, and they were able to capitalize off of it. Now, I still believe the Seahawks will be a playoff team, but it's weird because there's only 2 more slots in the playoffs. And the Panthers had my upset. I didn't expect them to win that game at all. Let me go to get that out there. But if you look at the NFC, the Niners are, 9-4. And you have the Cowboys who are 10-3. They are playing, they're the best wildcard team by far. It sucks that, a 12 to 13 win team is going to be a wildcard team, while the NFC South is going to have a 9-win team in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. But that's the way it goes. If you win the division, you get a home playoff game. But I can't determine if the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I mean, look at the last 2 spots. I'm looking at Detroit, who are 6-7. I think Detroit's going to get I truly believe Detroit, if they keep playing this way, they're going to get a playoff berth. They're going to be a wild card team. They're probably going to be a 7th seed. And then we're probably going to have Seattle at the 6th seed. Either going to be Seattle, Giants, or Commanders. Those are the 3 teams that are going to fight for that 6th seed. But that 7th seed, I think it's going to Detroit. I think Detroit is going to get that 7th seed. I think Detroit is playing their best football now. As John Madden said, football doesn't start until after Thanksgiving. And because they're coming out, I didn't even get to talk about Detroit. Their rookie, Jameson Williams, their first-round rookie from Bama. Second game, first catch, went for a touchdown, 40-plus yard touchdown. Let's talk about it. It's awesome. But I would see if Detroit will be a playoff team this year. And also, the Panthers, again, are getting my upset of the week for week 14. Thanks for watching and listening to the Football Corner Podcast. Podcast episodes will be dropped on Mondays and Fridays, as well as YouTube videos on Mondays and Fridays. You could click the link in my description or to follow the social media links to my podcast social media pages. And also, you'll be able to stay up to date on new drops, new takes, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.